Hello. I know this is a video that probably a lot of people have done, but this is a video that I'm doing of 100 super tips of Crayola. Now, these were not labeled, as you can see. Um, excuse me. And so I had to take some time with some friends and some researches, and of course I found some YouTube videos. Um, and I was Google searching. And like I said, I had some friends help me guess what colors each color. So I just took the time to swatch them and try to match it to this chart I found online of Jenny's super tips. So hopefully I got them right, and if not, it is what it is. And my problem was like some colors look too similar to that said color. Like, for example, like these two browns that, like, they looked the same to me. And it took me a bit to understand it. Of course, it could be just my bad lighting, for all I know. But, so I took the time to label them. And I'm going to put them in order of the swatch. I'm going to go down from here. So, we're going to get started. Okay, first one up, like you saw earlier, is black. So we're gonna lay black like this. Alright. And then the very next one we have is ivory. Which ivory was kinda easy to figure out because it was a beige like cap. So, and if you're using like it for sand or something, that's the kind of color you would use. So here's ivory. Okay. And lemon yellow, that's basically a very, very pale yellow. What it is. Alright. I'm not gonna worry about them lined up. So we're gonna match it to this chart. So the next one up is light turquoise. So I think it took me like at least 5-6 swatches till I finally just said, okay, this has gotta be it. Light turquoise. And then we have is brown, which brown was kind of a bit confusing because there was so many browns. But then I finally found it, which is like this. And then next we have is sky blue, which that didn't take too hard to find, but yeah. So as you can see, it's kind of a skyish color, so I figured that's gotta be it. And then mean green. You know, mean green was kind of a hard one because I had all kinds of they have all kinds of greens here. And of course I can show off my colored pencils that I have that I took the time to try to find out what their colors are and see like how they match that said color. So give me a second to find mean green. Here we go, is mean green. At first I wasn't sure, but mean green was one of those colors that I normally don't use. But maybe someday I will. Okay, and this one next is silver gray, which, or you could just say silver. Then of course silver, it's like a gray kind of color cap. And then here we have is dark brown, which is basically like a very, very dark brownish color. Alright. I'm hoping I got all these right. And again, feel free to correct them if... when I first got these, I thought they were labeled like their other stuff. But since they weren't, no big deal. I remember my mom was just like, it doesn't matter what color they are. But to me, it does, because I'm an artist that likes to know what color and what shade it is, so that when I need that said color, everybody knows what it is. This is bright yellow, which is very bright. No, it's not just because of lighting. So, yeah, and then, you have, fluoro green, which I just named it fluorescent, because, you know, that's the full name, which was like that. Then we have lavender, which is basically, a very light purple, but it's got a pinkish tone to it, too. And speaking of pink, the next one we have is pale pink. So here's pale pink. It's very, very faint. It's and of course, you know, a lot of times it's brighter. Okay, my bad. I found silver gray. Silver's a complete different thing. So it's this one, silver gray. It's the one that looks all sparkly, which give me a second to find that deep gray. Now here's dark gray. This one was a little confusing, other than it's in a gray cap. But when it colors, it's almost like it's actually black. So here's dark gray. So as you can see, let's fix this little guy. So that's dark gray. And now we have is just orange, which is basically orange cap. As you can see. So that's an orange. And then we have here is lilac violet, which was very pretty. I think it was a very pretty color. So lilac violet is going to be our next one up. As soon as I can find it. Yeah, there's lilac violet. It's like lavender, but it's not quite. It's a little bit more, it's probably on the medium size of it. I probably got lilac violet and lavender mixed up, but it is what it is. Then we have is just yellow, which I need to color that or write it again. It's kind of fading, but that's alright. This is yellow. And also, obviously, it's in a yellow cap. And so, then the next one we have on my chart is long green, which reminded me of yellow green kind of. So here's long green. And then we have is TDM brown, which I'm not sure what TDM means. If somebody knows what TDM means, feel free to tell me, because I'm not familiar with that term TDM that much. And I know it seems silly as an artist, but whatever. This is TDM brown. So that's that. Then we have sun yellow, which is kind of like bright yellow, but this one's a bit I think this one's a bit darker. So because the sun's not quite all yellow, so that color is like a yellow orangish kind of thing. So that's why I call it sun yellow. And as you can see on the chart here, it's like a orange yellow kind of thing. So and then we have magenta, which is basically red violet, if you want to call it, or violet red, whichever way you want to call it. Bright orange. So yeah, I know some of my letters are fading, but I'm gonna rewrite them when I can find my Sharpie. Some of it's because when they rub together, the stuff didn't stay on, or either that or I put them away when they're still too wet. So, and then next we have, this one I recognize from my double tip markers, is Prussian blue. So that's honestly Prussian blue, because Prussian blue, it's like a very rich blue, and I like that color. Only because that's what I usually use when I'm drawing my Marth character and my other stuff. So Prussian blue is probably the best thing for that kind of art. So then we have lobster red, which I was looking through my pencils and I'm like, what is lobster red and what can it be identical to? But it turns out it's like a red orange kind of thing. So here we have is lobster red. Yeah, these were a bit fun to swatch. Then we have cherry red, which it looks like it's an orange cap, but it's not quite. It's a red color, but it's just cherry red. It's probably like a lighter red orange. And then after that you have is people call it ochre, and I for some reason keep calling it ochre, even though it's ochre. So, but here's ochre. Then we have gold, which was basically easy to point out because I remember seeing like my Pokemon Gold version cartridge being that kind of color, so that's what it reminded me of, was that. And then we have aqua green. So this one I usually use for like waters, because it's just for the lighter shade of the water. And then so after that you just have plain red. So you just have red. Next we have gray blue, or blue gray, whatever you want to call it. I just usually call it blue gray, but it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. It's just different name, or different reverse name, excuse me. So we're gonna be looking for our blue gray, which I think I usually use that for like if I'm coloring like the hills farther away, because from the distance they look like that. Okay, so here's gray blue, So we got through like at least 30 of them. So that's 30 out of 100. So then here comes ochre gold, which was kind of confusing with gold, but then I saw the difference, and then so that's ochre gold. And then next we have is light gray, which basically is just gray but very light. So there's light gray. Okay, and then next we have is pastel light blue. So that one was kind of easy to figure out because I kind of figured that it was, because usually on light blue it's a little bit darker. Then we have blood red. Right here, it's like in this very dark red cup or cap, sorry. Then we have medium brown, which is kind of like dark brown, but it's not quite. So, this is medium brown. Oh, and another thing, I'm gonna point out later is like they have numbers, and I know you can't see it on the camera, but I'll explain it in a second, or a little bit later in this video. I will explain that. So next, after medium brown, we have is violet. Hold on a second. Here is violet. And it was in a purple cap. So, which, I mean, you could name it purple if you want to, but I just called it violet because, whatever. Then we have pastel pink, which is right here. It's like in a very pink cap. Here, let's put it on top of black. Hopefully it'll stay nice. You said not get messed up. Okay, it rolled over a little bit, but whatever. Then we have peach, which basically is something you would use for like a skin tone. So peach, it's not to be confused with ivory, because peach has a little bit more yellow to it. So that's why there's peach. Then we have deep green, which this one, I got confused because there's so many greens that look too similar to each other, and it took me like a while to understand that this has got to be deep green. It's in a darker cap, but due to my lighting, it's gonna look lighter. It's not too much dark, though. Not like forest green, no. Then you have is amaranth, which I'm not sure if amaranth, what it was. I mean, other than it's a flower, of course. But, it's in this kind of color. It's like a light brick red kind of thing. Then we have flesh, which is right here. So that's flesh. It's like peach, but it's a little bit, I think it's a little bit lighter. I think it's like somewhere between that and all the others. Okay. So, and then after that, you just have gray itself, which is basically this. It's just gray, there's nothing to it. It's just in a gray cap. Then you have bright purple. Excuse me, I was trying to find myself on the chart. Bright purple, which was very bright. It really was. The caps were misleading because I'm like, okay, that's gonna be this, this gonna be that, but then when you color them, you're like, oh, wait a second, that's not what I thought it was. So I had to like relabel them many times just to finally say, got it. So and then the next one we have is burnt brown, which basically it's like a mahogany almost kind of color, but it's not. It's this burnt brown. That one I know from my pencils because burnt brown is just what that is. And dark green, like I said earlier, this is dark green. It's in this very dark color, and of course, I could name it forest green, but I just chose to stick with dark green because it's just easier to remember and whatever. All right, moving on. Next we have is salmon, which is like a pinkish orangish kind of thing. So I'm just gonna go because when I was going through my pencils, salmon was like a pink, and so I figured this has gotta be salmon, and so I swatched it, and there it is. And then we have blue, just blue. I dyed my hair blue, but blue itself had a lot of other colors to it. Here is blue, just blue. So we have a blue thing, and so then we have is orchid violet. So there's orchid violet. It's almost the same thing as lavender's thing, but it wasn't. So then we have grass green, which basically, it like its name, it says grass green, and so we're going to find where I put my grass green in just a minute here. Yeah, like this one. Like long green, it's like you would use for yellow green, so it's like a very light yellow green. And here we have navy blue, which it was a very dark blue kind of thing, but it's in between that shade of blue and blue itself, and dark blue and blue itself. Sorry, excuse me, I'm stuttering here. This one is hazelnut. So basically, here's hazelnut, and we're at 51 out 100. Yeah, this was quite of a challenge to to know what it was and try to match that chart I found online. And some of them I had to take a guess myself. But, some I recognized right away because, you know, from my years of coloring. This is steel blue. It's like a dark or a medium, blue-green kind of thing. Then we have is sage green, which is very unique to its color. And again, I'm not worried about their labels not sticking up all the way because it's just too much of a pain in the butt to do that and hold my phone at the same time. Then we have light violet, which was kind of hard to find out because here I thought light violet would be like a lighter color, but apparently it wasn't. So I know I haven't. Just give me a second. Here's light violet. Alright. Let's fix that up so it lines up perfectly. Alright. Then next we have is sepia. Or sepia. Whatever. This was like a dark brown, but it's not quite. And I know I use sepia a lot for like when I'm coloring trees on my pencils. So I would bring out the pencils to compare them, but at the same time, it's just too much work. Then we have light brown, which is basically brown but lighter, obviously. Then we have is turquoise itself. So we already found light turquoise. Now we gotta find turquoise. So let's see if we can find turquoise. Here it is. That is turquoise. Alright. And then we have olive gold, which that color was kind of unique. But it looked like it was an olive green at the thing, but it's not. So here's olive gold. And there we have pearl gray. So it's like its true color. Then you have very deep gray. Yeah, this one. It doesn't look deep gray on the cap, but it is. It's very deep. And so, then here's this one, which is pale green, which basically, like, it's like a very, very faint green. And it's a pale green. Then we have rosewood, which is like a maroon. So, that is rosewood. Because when I was going through my colors, rosewood was like a maroon kind. I could have named it maroon, but I chose to name it rosewood because it's just a better name. Coral, basically is like another pink, but it has, I think it has a little bit of orange to it. So here's coral. So here's coral. It's like a very light, it's medium pink kind of thing. Then we have light blue gray, which it's almost like it's in a purplish cap, but it's light blue gray because that's when it came out when I was swatching. Then we have Oriental blue, which this one was a bit confusing. I know they were all confusing, but this one was a bit something because I couldn't figure out what Oriental blue was until I found it. Yeah, it looks like it's in a purple cap, but it's not. So this is Oriental blue, which I think I got that navy blue mixed with that. So I'm probably gonna have to fix that up, because I think Oriental blue and navy blue are mismarked. But so, I'll fix that later. Then we'll do olive brown, which is right here. This is olive brown. It's kind of a unique color, but whatever. Then we have medium gray, which basically is this. Here is medium gray. It just, now the grays, I was worried I didn't have all of them, but I did, so that's good. So then we have light sky blue. And here it is, light sky blue. It's like light blue, but, or sky blue, but lighter, of course. So gotta take some note to it. Then we have grape violet, which is very pretty, if you ask me. Then we have olive green, and that's it of all the olives. So that is olive green. So we got 30 more. So we have light manganese blue. Now manganese, I couldn't figure out a name for it, so until I saw the charts, I said, oh, okay, manganese. I'm not familiar with manganese. And of course, I don't have any pencils that are like manganese. And they're going to do that, but whatever. So that's light manganese blue right here that I'm showing. And then here we have is jade green, which looks like it's a darker version of aqua green. Just trying to line them up, but they're not going to stay like that. They're going to be difficult. Whatever. Be that way. Alright. Moving on. So we have Oriental green. Right here. It's right here. Oriental green. And then we have silver that I showed earlier, but I got the wrong color. So here's silver, just silver itself. Then we have light blue, So that's light blue. And then we have laurel green. So here's laurel green. And laurel green and seaweed green, they look so similar that I couldn't figure out which is what, but then I looked at two and I said, okay, that's gotta be that, and this is gotta be that. So, whatever. I know I've been saying whatever, but shoot. Excuse me, I'm trying to find myself on the list. Okay, here we are. Is cyclamen or cyclamen, if you know how to pronounce that, feel free to say that in the comments. This one, I know that it's a flower. I'm not familiar with that color that much. So, that's that. And then we have dark blue, which is very darker color to blue, on the cap. So, and of course, other than it comes out darker. Then we have brick red, which is like, red and brown mixed. So that's brick red. I think that's it of the reds, I think. Well, other than... So, then there is seaweed green. As you can see, laurel green and seaweed green looked similar, but seaweed green's a bit darker. It's a little bit darker. So, that is, we're at 85 out of, 80 out of, 100. So, and here comes green itself. That is just green. Obviously in the green cap. So, then there's green gray. Which, here it is. And then ash gray. Now, green gray and ash gray kind of confused me because they're similar on the cap, but ash gray is a little bit darker. So, here's ash gray. Dark cyclamen. It's right here. Then we have pea green, which is like a very bright yellow green. So that's that. Then you have pastel green, which is like a olive green kind of thing, but I think it's a little bit darker. Or actually, I think it's lighter. Old blue, that one's like something like you would name a teal. So that's old blue right here. And then here's light green. So I figured, why not just get them all done? Then we have manganese blue. Here's manganese blue. Gonna be sitting next to its little friend. So here we are. Then we have DM blue, which I think that means dark medium. Which here we are. It's like a medium shape or medium colored. Alright, so we got 10 more. Here is bean green. Then bright green. It's very bright. Honestly. Lilac. This came out gorgeous. This is something I would use a lot for like my flowers. Geranium. Now some of these colors I don't have in marker, or not marker, pencil, and even on my other color markers I never seen them being that set color. Then the next one is mead violet. Not medium violet, just mead violet. Now, and then we have, oh, and I almost forgot. Intermediate violet, was before that. Excuse me. So, here's intermediate violet and mead violet. Now these more, I had to swatch on my own because I had 4 extra pinks. And so, they were not on the chart, but I had to sit down and think of names of it myself. Which I had a friend help me. Here's a rose. It's like a very faint pale pink. As you can see, that's where rose is. Then we have pink itself. And then we have mauve. And then here, last but not least, is sand. That's all I got for the 100 colors of the super tips. Hopefully I got them all right, and if I didn't, feel free to correct, and I will fix them. I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.